What's the worst thing your mom caught you doing as a kid? Story 1. My mom walked in on me shooting up H. Needle in arm, belt in my mouth, F. One of the most shameful moments in a life filled with bad crap. Sober 7 years now. Edit. For those interested, despite the shame, I went upstairs and shot up again to make it all go away. I continued to use it for 6 more months. I went to treatment, kept relapsing in treatment, and even in detox. Friend brought drugs in his underwear. I didn't want to relapse, but I could not stand living sober. It made me want to rip my skin off. I was getting exposed to a lot of ANNA, and the stuff they were saying made a lot of sense. My insanity and actions finally made sense to me. The people seemed to know exactly how I felt, and I could tell they had lived the same pain, self-inflicted mostly, I had. They also seemed to have a solution, and I was effing out of options, so I just dived in head first. Today, I have a college degree, have worked as an EMT, and run a small production company. In the fall, I will be attending an I-League Physician Assistant Master's program. Pretty amazing crap. When I first got sober, I had a hard time even talking. Simple addition was not something I was capable of. AANA have helped me live in a way that makes being sober worth doing for me. Also, I am married. Edit 2. If you're curious to hear more about what pre-sobriety/early sobriety is like, download this guy telling his story. It will blow your mind. Upvote for sobriety. Good for you. That's a hell of an inspiring story, and not an easy one to make. Good on you for toughing it out and finding a life you're happy with. Story 2. She caught me trying on her clothes and underwear. Huge what the F moment. I'm straight, but was a curious boy. Weirdest boner, that one. Your username suggests you shouldn't have been so easily caught. I didn't get caught for doing this until years later. I was about 11 and my best friend was about 12. He had downloaded the Anarchist Cookbook, as you do, and we decided to make some napalm from his father's wooden shed. We told his mom we were going outside to mess around, what we used to call playing. We went into his dad's shed and proceeded to mix styrofoam with petrol. There was a hole in the container we were mixing it in, so the petrol began to spill all over the workbench, about 6 feet long. I turned to my friend impatiently, holding a lighter, and said, "Hey, Owen, do you think this is flammable?" To which I proceeded to light the petrol, which was now dosed all over the workbench. Of course, the whole bench went up in flames, 6 feet wide and 6 feet tall. Owen then tried to put it out with a rag by battling the flames, but the rag got even more covered in petrol, which thus caught fire too. I was barely able to breathe. I was laughing so hard. He ran outside and turned on the tap, which was connected to the hose, but the tap was only trickling water, so he told me to turn it up while he ran back inside to put the fire out. I turned it the wrong way by accident, with which he screamed, "The other way!" I did, and we put the fire out. The workbench was completely black, and his dad never noticed. This will probably get buried, but most people we tell this story to enjoyed it. Story 4. Was about 6 years old in my bedroom with the girl from next door of the same age. Was exploring each other's bodies. Mom came in just as I was about to get a bit of cunnilingus going. Obviously didn't know what that was at the time, just wanted to taste, I guess. My mom went mad at me and said the old "wait until your dad gets home." Well, he got home and told me off with the biggest grin ever on his face. "Your dad is awesome. Your dad is creepy." That was the "thank God he's not gay" grin. Bro dad is a bro. Story 5. When I was about 6, I had been exposed to adult entertainment for the first time. I quickly went over to my best friend's house where we built a fort out of chairs and sheets and then proceeded to gang bang a big stuffed alligator with our 6-year-old junk out and everything. His mom walked in on this and gave us the talk. The "sometimes 2 boys and an alligator love each other very much" talk? Yeah, I remember when my mom had that talk with me. "Son, look, eventually in your life, you and a friend are going to want to do things with an alligator, but it's important you wait until you both know that you love the alligator first." Story 6. Then one time I was being babysat by an old woman for my apartment. I must have just discovered the pleasures of stimulating myself, but I hadn't yet been introduced to the hand technique, so what did I do? I used to hump things. So I turned on some black TV channel, and the shocked babysitter asked if my mom lets me view these types of things. I say of course and continue watching. I then take my D out and begin grinding on the big bed right in front of her. I'll never know if she told my mom. Thrasovich, Hey, Mom, did a babysitter of mine ever tell you about the time I whipped out my D and started grinding the bed in front of her? Mother. Nope. Thrasovich. Oh, okay, cool, 'cause that would have been embarrassing. Story 7. So when I was really little, maybe around 5, I used to take pieces of chalk and stick them in my butt crack. After a while, the chalk would start to sting, and for some reason, I liked it. One day, I lodged a good 3 pieces in between my cheeks and went about my daily activities. At some point, while playing, I broke a vase, and since my dad wasn't home, my mom decided to give me a little spanking. She pulled down my pants, bent me over her knee, and gave me a tender wallop on the rear. I braced for the second impact, but it never came. I looked around to see my mom staring at the ground where 2 of my butt chalks had landed. Eventually, I got up and ran to my room as my mom continued to sit motionless for a number of minutes. I never heard anything about it after that, but I stopped the strange practice. Butt chalks. It just rolls off the tongue. She probably chalked it up to childhood curiosity. Why the hell won't parents ask their kids about their weird rituals? I did some weird crap as a kid too, but God, even I want to know what compelled you to clench sticks of chalk in your butt. You had me laughing from the first sentence, Mr. Coagulated. P.S. Your RES tag is chalk butt. Like, do you think the mom was looking at the chalk and thinking like, are those his bones? Did I spank him so hard he pooped some of his bones out? What is happening to my little baby boy? Please like and subscribe if you've made it this far. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the video and have a wonderful day. Story 8. So, I was in my room bending over to put dirty clothes into the laundry basket when my dog jumped onto my back and started humping me. I got peed and decided, F this, I'm going to show him who's the leader of this pack. So I whip him around and pretend to hump him from behind to freak him out and establish dominance. Well, about 3 seconds into this, my mom walks into my room asking for my dirty laundry. The look on her face was something like horror mixed with sadness as she slowly backed away. Explaining my dominance theory did not help. Edit. A few people have said that 5 copied this from somewhere. I can honestly and sheepishly say that it is 100% true and was incredibly awkward. For me, and probably the dog too. My dog had the same tendencies. I took him in to get him fixed, really broken, so to speak. I ran into a girl who told a very similar story to yours. She had a German Shepherd who mounted her just as she was naked, bending over the tub. I asked her if she was going to get her dog fixed too. She said, "Oh no, I'm just here to get his nails trimmed." Tish. Story 9. Playing with Lego as a kid, my brother and I used to build vast armies of Lego soldiers, war machines, fighters, tanks, etc. Everything was a war with lasers, bombs, etc. Well, one day, little young me decides that there has to be a better way. I think, why go to the trouble of having my armies fight the opposing force? Why not just round them all up and dispose of them in some organized fashion? So I took one of those little Lego platforms and built a facility on it. It had a wall around it, some area where newly arriving enemy troops would be killed and then their bodies hauled off to be vaporized with lasers. It even had a little booth where the tiny Lego guy operating the machinery could stand. As I was building it, for some reason my older brother thought it was a bad idea. I proudly said I was going to show it to our mom, and he really thought that was a bad idea. I ran out the door anyway. I found her and proudly explained the workings of my new creation. She was, shall we say, less than pleased. Once she saw what it was, she immediately yelled at me, grounded me, and smashed the creation into 100 pieces. Too Long Didn't Read created a death camp out of Lego and showed my mom. F my life. Hey, people like this end up as military tacticians. Best Too Long Didn't Read I've seen for a while. People like that don't become military tacticians, they become war criminals. He wasn't planning complex war maneuvers, he was planning on how to best dispose of bodies. Story 10. I ran away from home when I was 14-ish, but I was a paperboy at the time and ditched my satchel full of newspapers in the woods. When I didn't come home, folks called the cops. A search turned up my bag in the woods and it was assumed that I had been kidnapped. It was ugly. Went home a couple days later to a fiasco in the house. Weird combination of emotions at home for quite some time after that. Probably the worst thing I have done to anyone in my entire life, I now realize. Oh yeah, I now have kids, so I know exactly how they feel. Karma is circular. I tried running away once. I remember 3 hours in, I had to crap so badly that I ran home like I had a carrot up my butt. Mom won that battle. How did that start off so serious and then turn so weird? Story 11. I was in my room after I showered and took off my towel. Me standing there naked found that my nuts were a bit itchy. How might I fix this problem? I looked to the ground and found a Lego. I pulled out my sack and began to scratch my nut with the corner of the Lego. All of a sudden, my mom bursts in and stands staring at me butt naked, scratching my nut with a Lego. Okay, she said, and walked out. My nuts were a bit itchy. How might I fix this problem? Scratching them with one of your hands? Story 12. When I was about 12, my friend and I, both boys, had a routine of picking up guys on the internet. Basically, we'd go into a chat room claiming to be a cute, perky 19-year-old and find a guy in our area. We'd send him a picture of us that we'd pull from Hot or Not and talk super seductively. Eventually, we'd give him our number and we'd talk on the phone with him and suggest he come over, and we'd ask him to pick up a pizza or something. When he'd arrive, we'd have one of us standing on the balcony with water balloons, usually filled with something besides water, and the other one of us would answer the door. The guy answering the door would pull it open, grab the pizza, and slam it shut. Meanwhile, the guy stood there dumbfounded, realizing he'd just gotten conned out of a pizza by some kid. He'd start getting pelted with all kinds of crap. In retrospect, it was pretty mean to them. This usually works fine until one occasion when the guy apparently didn't appreciate getting mayonnaise dumped on his car and actually called my friend's parents the next day. Using the house phone may not have been the best idea, but we didn't really have any other options. I remember hearing my friend's dad on the phone screaming, "You came over to try to sleep with my prepubescent son? What the sick F are you?" Anyway, while he was peed as hell at the creep, he did get furious at us too and told my parents. Wasn't allowed to hang out with that friend for like a year after that. In retrospect, those guys must have been pretty effing horny to believe what we were saying. I mean, we were like 12. I guess stiffness really impairs your judgment. Too long didn't read at age 12 seduced guys in order to get pizza. Oh my god. You as a 12-year-old was an evil genius. No way in hell I could have pulled something like that off. Enjoy your new RES tag, seduced guys for pizza. Hot or Not, 12, F my life. Aside from the fact that they could have very easily gotten a side of internet creep/murderer to go with their pizza, I have to appreciate the hustle. I would have done the same for a sweet slice of za. Story 13. Zipping my little brother into a plastic bag, one of those clear ones that blankets are sold in. Edit. He was fine. The doc said the brain damage was minimal. He's still alive, right? Stuffing toilet paper down my underwear because I was always busy playing video games and could never be arsed to go to the bathroom, so I always ended up crapping myself. Instead of changing underwear, I'd create a new layer of tissue by using toilet paper. Of all the twisted stuff on this page, this one made me sickest to my stomach. Congrats, Sir Bramalam. The internet makes me sad sometimes. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.